Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes regarding a huge planned WrestleMania 38 match between the returning Ronda Rousey, who is expected to return tonight at the Royal Rumble, and the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. Bit of a breaking news update here. The Impact Wrestling news video is supposed to drop in the next hour or so I'm trying to get this one out as quickly as possible. But it does regard a big story that I just felt there needed to be a video on it, especially with the Royal Rumble coming up tonight in St. Louis, and obviously the growing discussion about Ronda Rousey's upcoming return to WWE. It could happen. It's expected to happen tonight at the Rumble. Could happen on Raw on Monday or possibly SmackDown this coming Friday. Nevertheless, Ronda Rousey is coming back to WWE in the near future, and she is going to wrestle at WrestleMania reportedly. Now, we did a story earlier on today talking about Ronda Rousey's upcoming return and her plans moving forward in WWE. The initial report, which did come from Dave Meltzer, by the way, stated that she was going to be coming back, possibly at the Rumble or on Raw on Monday. She was going to be part of the SmackDown brand, but she wasn't, I repeat, wasn't going to be facing Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Well, talk about a U-turn, because Dave Meltzer is now reporting on F4W Online that Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey is slated to be one of the key matches for WWE WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, Texas. Now, most likely, according to Meltzer, the angle is to set things in motion for this big WrestleMania match is set to take place tonight at the Rumble, either during the Rumble match or after the Rumble match. I would think logic would suggest, since Charlotte Flair's big thing is that she's going to be in the Rumble match itself and she's going to win the Rumble and then she's going to select her opponent at WrestleMania, there could be two outcomes here. The most logical one is that Charlotte Flair's doing well in the Rumble, and then who comes out? Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey eliminates her. She wins the Rumble match, and then she challenges Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. That's one thing that makes sense. The other thing, which I really don't like, is Charlotte Flair wins the Royal Rumble, and she does pick her challenger for WrestleMania and says, looking straight into the camera, I want to face Ronda Rousey. I don't like that second part because that's just, Charlotte Flair wins. She's a champion and she wins the Rumble. It's just, we're just giving her accolades for the sake of giving her accolades at this point. Nevertheless, Rousey's entourage is already in St. Louis, Missouri. They arrived there yesterday, and there is some talk of her appearing on Raw on Monday. Now, Rousey is back in WWE for a substantial run, and not just for the Rumble and WrestleMania. She will be a part of SmackDown, although she may appear on Raw shows at times to help boost ratings, according to Meltzer. Now, again, Meltzer is saying that Ronda Rousey being on SmackDown is to throw a major bone to Fox, which had hoped that both Rousey and Brock Lesnar would be regulars on the show when they signed the deal with WWE back in 2018 to begin airing SmackDown on Fox in 2019. The deal, which Ronda Rousey has signed or is now in with WWE, is in excess of 1 year and includes major matches at both this year's WrestleMania and next year's WrestleMania in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Now, Rousey versus Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch was the assumed match that Ronda Rousey was going to be having when she came back to WWE, and it was discussed and actually made the most sense, but the decision was made to put Rousey on SmackDown. That would make Rousey versus Lynch the favorite for next year's WrestleMania. Now, this isn't going to be the first time, obviously, that Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair have faced off. They faced off at Survivor Series in 2018, a match which Rousey won by disqualification. So, obviously, I have quite a few thoughts on this one. I'm going to keep it relatively short, but I have quite a few thoughts. In terms of the match, in terms of Rousey's first match back for this year's WrestleMania, I don't hate it. And the reason I say that is because, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite, because a couple of days ago I said that for ages, for a long time, in 2018, in 2019, in 2020, even in 2021, the match that people wanted to see was Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. In 2022, I don't think it is. I really don't, because we're at such a pivotal point when it comes to Bianca Belair right now, is that Bianca Belair, especially with the way she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship to Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, losing it in just about 10 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever it was, she has to get that win back. She has to have her big moment. She has to defeat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania to win the Raw Women's Championship and just cement herself as a big star and a major figure in the women's division in WWE. If she gets pushed to the side because of the returning Ronda Rousey, if she gets pushed to the side because of Becky Lynch, that's WWE's problem with creating new stars, is that they build up stars, or they try to, but then they panic or they can't push through for the long term. They see a more familiar star or a returning name and they just push them to the side. They either have that returning name defeat the up-and-coming star, or they just get bored and go, no, you can go back to the mid-card. So it's really important that Bianca Belair faces Becky Lynch at WrestleMania and wins the Raw Women's Championship. And I think with Rousey facing Charlotte Flair, I think that means that's going to happen. So I don't actually have a problem with the match happening this way. I think Rousey wins, frankly. And it's WWE doing what they wanted to do anyway, right? In 2018, going into 2019 for that WrestleMania 35 main event, the moment they signed Ronda Rousey in 2018, they knew she wasn't going to be the main event of WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. They just knew that wasn't going to be the case because she wasn't ready. But the plan was they were going to have the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania in 2019, WrestleMania 35, MetLife Stadium. And the plan was that main event was going to be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. What WWE didn't anticipate is that Becky Lynch would get over during that time period, and she did. She got super over. To the point that when they were going to do the Rousey versus Becky Lynch match at Survivor Series 2018, Becky was getting more and more and more over. Then obviously Nia Jax punched to the face. She gets a broken face. Charlotte Flair has to go in. They do the match anyway. But even at that point, the plan was to do Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. It just got to the point that Becky Lynch got so over that they made it a triple threat match. And even at the time, this is how crazy it was. People thought, okay, well, they'll just do Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey in 2019 of the main event of WrestleMania 35. Charlotte Flair was shoehorned into that match unnecessarily. She was put in for the fact that she was Charlotte Flair. Her last name was Flair, and WWE just have this thing about having Charlotte Flair in big matches, winning titles, and being in big situations. That's what they're just obsessed. They're absolutely obsessed. So that was the time to do it. And like I said, now I don't think the desire is there for the Becky Lynch-Ronda Rousey match. Maybe this time next year there will be. Build to it a bit more. Because this year should be about Bianca Belair, in my opinion. So I'm not necessarily against it, but it's just WWE going back to what they wanted to do. In their mind, this is the biggest match that they can do, right? So, but on the flip side of things, like I said, I'm not going to complain too much, because if they did Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey this year, I just don't know if it's the right time right now. I really don't. It has been for several years, but obviously for various reasons, the pandemic, pregnancies for both females, it's just not been the right time. Or it's not worked out, rather. So I think that this is probably the right match to do. And it's a big match, no doubt about it. I do look at it and say, who's going to be the babyface? Because if WWE thinks that Ronda Rousey coming back, she's going to be cheered as a babyface, they're going to be in for a really rude awakening. She'll get a big pop when she comes out tonight because she's Ronda Rousey, and nobody's seen her in nearly, 3 years on WWE television. So that will be a big deal. But given the way that she was acting in the run-up to that WrestleMania main event in 2019, and certainly given the things that she said about WWE in her hiatus, and specifically the WWE fans being ungrateful, and just everything she said about them, I'm never going to return to WWE, etc., etc. If they think that Rousey's going to return tonight, and then in the long term people are going to cheer her, they've got another thing coming. So what? And Charlotte Flair, she's going to be the babyface? She's a terrible babyface. And certainly on SmackDown last night, she wasn't a babyface. So what, we're just going to have two heels going up against each other? I don't necessarily care that much, but if they want to portray Ronda Rousey as the babyface, I ain't working. And it won't. They'll have to pivot to something different. And because I just think that eventually, people won't forget. In this day and age, people don't forget. That's part of the thing with social media, isn't it? Those comments are there. So who is going to be the babyface in this situation? Or are they just going to go, you know what, people hate them both, but they're big deals, so we're going to put them in the ring together at WrestleMania? I think probably the latter, frankly. So that's the plan as of right now. It must be said, though, when it comes to Meltzer, he has thrown so much at the wall when it comes to this story over the course of the last 48 hours. Who even knows, honestly, at this point? Because, again, he said that Rousey is returning. She's going to be on SmackDown. She's not facing Charlotte Flair. She's facing Becky Lynch. Now he's saying Becky Lynch isn't going to be facing Ronda Rousey. It's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, even though specifically he said before she's not going to be facing Charlotte Flair. So who knows? And again, his track record when it comes to WWE stuff is frankly spotty at best in recent years, so we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, look, as I mentioned, Impact Wrestling news video coming up shortly, and we're going to be live for the watch along and post-show reaction tonight, so plenty of content coming soon. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.